Hello everybody, welcome to the December episode of Virtual Tween Baking. I have a really nice, festive, simple, and quick recipe for you this month. It's very, very easy, and it's great for this time of month because it makes a great gift, or if you just wanted to share it with you and your family. It's a nice little, seasonal treat with some peppermint and some, sweetness to it, great for the holidays. And just great for like easy winter baking. So, like I said, this is a very quick recipe. I'm gonna walk you guys right through it, and it's technically not even baking. We're gonna basically do a majority of the melting and cooking aspect of this recipe right in the microwave. It's very, very simple. So you don't even have to turn your oven on. You don't have to preheat anything. We're basically gonna throw everything in a bowl, mix it around, and let it set. It's very, very easy. So I'm just going to kind of walk you right through it. So to start off, I'm going to I'm using a glass kind of baking dish for this. You can use you can use a metal pan if you need to. You can use pretty much anything, but square or rectangular works best. We're making fudge, by the way. I don't know if it said that. We're making peppermint fudge with marshmallows in it. So just for like the ease of cutting it into little squares, something with like edges, preferably not a bowl with rounded edges, but something square or rectangular with those edges will make for nice, cleaner lines at the end. And depending on how thick you want your fudge, you can kind of play around with how tall the edges of your baking dish are, your pan. If you want your fudge thinner, you can use basically a bigger pan. If you want your fudge thicker, use a smaller pan. Easy enough. So what I'm going to do is just jump right into step number 1, which is we are going to grease a pan. I have some baking spray here. But again, we're not actually baking. This is just going to help us take everything out of the baking dish when we're all done. I'm going to take a piece of parchment, which I will provide for you guys in your kits. I'm going to press it right down in there so these flappy edges kind of overhang right there, and that way at the end we can pull those up and the fudge will come right out, and that way we can easily cut it and divide it up. So baking dish spray and parchment paper in, and I'm going to set this aside. Next, I'm going to take a bowl, a microwave safe bowl, and I'm going to add basically most of the ingredients. We're going to add our 2 cups of chocolate chips, which just so happens to be this entire bag of chocolate chips. Easy enough. Set that aside. We're going to add our tablespoon of butter, which I have pre-measured for you. We are going to add our sweetened condensed milk, the whole 14-ounce can here. And I'm just going to use a spatula to kind of drizzle this and pour this right in. And we're going to use the whole can. So then basically what we're going to do from here, this is the only part, these are the ingredients that we want to microwave. We're going to hold off on the marshmallows, we're going to hold off on the candy canes. Those are going to kind of be later mix-ins and toppings. But for this, we're going to kind of mix this mixture, the chocolate chips and the butter and the sweetened condensed milk. We're going to mix this all around, kind of get it nice and even. And from here, I'm going to make sure it's all off my spatula. From here, I'm basically going to microwave this in like 30-second intervals until it is one smooth, creamy, silky texture, no big lumps, no chocolate chips still whole in there. We want this to be one nice smooth consistency. So I'm going to melt that. So I'll do 30 seconds, give it a stir, 30 seconds, give it a stir until it's totally smooth. And I will come back and go on to the next step once this is totally smooth and at a nice warm melted consistency. All right, so at this stage, just wanted to show you guys, it's not quite ready yet. I have microwaved this now for a total of about 2 minutes. You can see there's still, my piece of butter has not fully oops, not fully melted from in here yet. There's still some lumps from the chocolate, but I am just gonna kind of keep scraping the sides and stirring it. We're not quite there yet, but you can see it is starting to come together and make this kind of smooth batter type of consistency, but not quite yet. So I'm gonna stir this. I'm gonna do another 30 seconds and then check in with you at that point. All right, so I did another 30 seconds and now everything is looking pretty smooth. Can you guys see that? Pretty melted. And this will start to set fairly quickly. So we do want to work fairly quickly with these next few steps. What we're gonna do now is pour in our half a cup of marshmallows. Or if you want to save these and pour them on top afterwards with the crushed candy cane, you can do that too. I'm gonna actually, so what I'll do is I'll pour in some of my marshmallows and stir those in. I'm reserving a little bit that I can kind of put on top afterwards, but I'm gonna fold these marshmallows in, and these just give it like a nice little texture. So we'll get those right in there. And this recipe is awesome because this fudge like base, you can basically add in, like if you ever wanted to make it again, you can add in anything you want basically. You can do nuts, you can do different, like peanut butter chips or whatever. Like just use this same base recipe with the sweetened condensed milk and the chocolate chips and the butter. And then from there, you can pretty much add in whatever you want. So I've got my fudge base here with my marshmallows. Now I'm going to scrape it into my pan, my pre-greased and lined pan. Oh, yum. All right. So what I'm gonna do is you can either take like the back of your spatula and kind of smooth this out, or I'm going to use one of my favorite tools, which is this offset spatula, which has like this nice flat straight edge. And this helps me get nice, smooth, like a nice smooth flat surface on my fudge. We want to make sure it's kind of a nice even layer, no big globs anywhere. So we're gonna get this as flat as we can on top. But even if it has a little bit of texture on top, it makes it like, it gives it that homemade feel. It does not have to be absolutely perfect. It's gonna taste great no matter what, so really don't worry about it too much. Okay, so I can see some of those marshmallows kind of poking through, and that's totally fine. I'm gonna put that aside. So this is what I have so far, my fudge in here, and it's kind of smoothed out on top. I'm going to now put that aside. I'm gonna give you guys each 2 candy canes in your kits. And this is where that peppermint flavor is going to come from. So what I have done with my 2 candy canes is taken the plastic off of both of them. So they're not in that like thin plastic wrapper anymore. And I've placed them in this plastic bag. And now I'm going to take a rolling pin and just smash them, shatter them into little pieces. We don't need to make it too fine of a powder. We've still got some decent chunks in there. So from there, here's my fudge. I'm gonna take those last few marshmallows that I reserved, and I'm just gonna kind of dot them on top wherever I want, just to add to the finished appearance of this. And I can tell it's already starting to set a little bit, so it's good that we're working pretty quick here. Because it does want to kind of solidify it at room temperature, which is a good thing. You don't want your fudge to be, so soft you can't even cut it. All right, so there's my marshmallows on top. Then I'm gonna take those crushed candy canes and just ever so gently sprinkle them on top. So pretty. And if you need to, you know, kind of pat some of the bigger pieces down very gently with your fingers or with the back of a spatula, you can absolutely do that just to make sure that they're going to stick right in there. I'm going to do a little bit more. You don't have to use all the candy cane that I gave you if you don't want to. I think it adds a nice little crunch, a nice little texture, but mostly it gives it that nice kind of festive peppermint holiday flavor. All right, so that's pretty much it. So at this point, all we really, now this is the hard part, as always, is just waiting to for this to be finished so we can try it. This is my fudge here with my marshmallows and my candy canes on top. What I'm gonna do is cover this. This little baking tray is nice because it has a lid. I'm gonna put my lid on and we're gonna stick it in the fridge for like 2 to 3 hours until it's totally solid and totally set. And then I'm going to come back and I will show you guys the finished results. I can cut it up and easy enough. That's one of the quickest recipes we've ever done. But nobody would, you know, if you give it to somebody as a gift, they'll never know it took, you know, that you made it in the microwave or that it was that quick. It's a very easy but yet beautiful recipe. So I'll stick this in the fridge. I'll check back in with you guys in a few hours and we will look at our finished peppermint fudge. All right, you guys, I have my fudge, which has been chilling and setting in the fridge for, originally I thought it would be 2 to 3 hours, then I ended up going to work, so it was more like 4 or 5 hours, so everything is totally set now, and it is firm to the touch, which is what we're looking for. There we go. It looks so festive and so delicious. So now what I'm going to do is take these 2 parchment paper flaps that we left hanging out, and I'm going to gently pull up on them, and look at that. Pops right out. That is another reason it was a good idea to grease our baking dish there, even though we were not baking, but it still helps the parchment slide right out. So now what I'm going to do is just kind of pull the edges down around this fudge like this. And then from here, you can pretty much just cut it into little squares, whatever size you desire. And that's what's great about this. You can cut it into little squares and give it away as gifts. Or you can do bigger squares, whatever works for you, whatever you want to do with it. Just to make mine extra fancy, what I'm going to do is kind of square off the edges a little bit. So I'm cutting off, just to make some straight lines on the edge, I'm cutting off the sides just a little bit. Oh my gosh. So, and this is when we get to try it. Oh my gosh, it's really, really, really good. And we'll put those scraps aside and those will be our testers. But I'm just kind of squaring off the edges here, taking away any of the excess, and it's leaving me with some nice, really straight lines here so that when I do cut it into little squares, they'll be very straight. It makes them look a little bit cleaner, a little bit more professional, but you definitely don't have to do that. That's optional. So now I'm just going to cut mine up, and I'll probably put it on a little plate. I'll take a picture and show you guys, and I cannot wait to try a piece with all that candy cane and marshmallow in it. I'm so excited. This turned out great, and again, it was a very, very simple, easy, foolproof holiday recipe, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you get to share it with people, and I hope you guys have great holidays and a great rest of your month. Thank you so much for doing tween baking with me this month, and I hope to see you in January. Bye!